Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classics / Non-Classics. This is episode number 1645 and Doubleshot number 1539. Most of this one, I'm basically doing some individual issues. Basically, individual issues of one ongoing series, a one-shot, and a mini-series. Now, first we're discussing is the last 8 issues of Mark Millar's run for Fantastic Four. Starting with issue number 562. It comes from the Masters of Doom's trade. Now, for some reason, now people think that Sue Storm's been killed. Nope, she's not dead. Yeah, it's a ruse, basically, to get Doom arrested. And it feels, oh yeah, that there is one other guy who is my master. And everyone's like, wait, you have a master? And he claims this guy was the very first villain. And I'm thinking, how the heck can that be? Of course, he's going to be standing trial for war crimes. And of course, in this very issue, Thing poses to his girlfriend, Debbie, which by the end of the story arc, he calls out the marriage because it wasn't ready for him yet. Yep. The Masters of Doom. Yeah, then you have Johnny Stormer's apartment where apparently he's with, you think it's supposed to be Scarlet Witch and Storm. I should point out, though, Scarlet Witch has barely been seen at this point in time that these issues came out, and Storm is married to Black Panther. But the thing is, it's not them. Nope, it's just two random women he just happened to meet. And at one point, it seems like, based on this artwork, it seems like the woman dressed as Storm wants to have sex with the woman who's dressed as Scarlet Witch. And it's implied that Johnny Storm was planning to have a 3-way, but nope, doesn't go anywhere. He goes to Human Torch mode, and of course, the national engagement. Yep. And you have stuff going with New World. We have this Master of Doctor Doom. And when does he show up? Alright, this will show up to about a little bit later. When I show this guy looks like, you're probably thinking, wait, is that a character from Doctor Who? Because apparently, Bryan Hitch ripped off this look from an alien from Doctor Who. Let's see if I can find him here, because also, as a matter of fact, we have the announcement of the mentioning of the whole thing of Doctor Doom having a thing. We have the Reacher's family going on vacation, encountering monsters. We see him briefly a couple times, but mostly put just a lot of sci-fi fun here, battling, like I said, battling monsters, which this it normally does. Now, I think it was 566 we finally unveil what the heck this guy looks like. I at least gotta praise Bryan Hitch for this very good pose of Doctor Doom. This actually is a really good sketch of him. Mm-hmm. And here he is. Doctor Doom's master. That is him. The guy who Doctor Doom claims is the very first villain. Now, when you see this guy, you're thinking, wait, does that look like an ice warrior from Doctor Who? Yeah, an ice warrior from the classic Doctor Who series. It's a very similar look, except it's black instead of being green. But it seems as though Bryan Hitch ripped off the Ice Warriors from Doctor Who with this design for Doctor Doom's master. Has a little teeth thing, which is something they did, like a little bit of the mouth, which they did in the original appearance. But yeah, so he hurts Doctor Doom at the building for a few issues. He finally supposedly kills him. And, well, he takes his mask and proclaims himself the new Doctor Doom. The other thing about about this guy, aside from the fact it takes off Doctor Doom's mask, is that we never see his full face. We just see his mouth. We don't get full look at his face. Nope. And here's the strange thing about this particular, like, the whole thing with the wedding, like, basically Ben Grimm and Debbie are getting, like, worried about it. But by the end of the story arc, the wedding is called off. Because basically Ben is not, because he was worried about his future wife. Which I'll get to more of that. By the way, Doomsmaster is killed in the last issue of Mark Millar's run. Yep. So you got also 68 ends with a bunch of Ultimate Fantastic Fours just showing up at the backs ability. Yeah. Really fun stuff here. The story gets wrapped up, and of course he's killed by, I think it's supposed to be Johnny Storm kills him. Well, supposedly. And he dies. He finally gets killed. And then we have the wedding. And the thing gets cold feet. And he's worried the fact that she might get hurt because of his enemies. And then we have this wonderful scene of Daredevil, Spider-Man, Namor, and I'm trying to remember who this guy is. It's not Peter. It's on 569 here, because it's basically having illusions of I think it might be Hank Pym. Oh, no, it's actually Bruce Banner. Yeah, it's Bruce Banner. Yeah, talk about their late loves. Yeah. Now, at this time, when are these characters... Now, Betty Ross, believe it or not, we retcon come back, like, around this period of time. She's not dead. Dorma is still dead, along with the Air 2. Yep. So, after they have the aborted wedding, of course, they become good friends. And, basically, that's all hunky-dory there. But now there's still one more thing to talk about for this run. But the story does continue in, of all places... Let's see if I can find it here. There's actually a one-shot that basically falls right after this. Excuse me. Here we go. The Fantastic Four Cosmic Special, which the Champion Pack that collected the Master Doom story arc did not collect this particular one-shot, which came out in 2009. And this basically was that's where the story led into, this particular one-shot. Love the cover. Still use the Fantastic Four logo, Mark Millar's run. This book is done by Cary Bates and Bing Callisto. Cary Bates, you're thinking, wait, that name sounds very familiar. Didn't he work on Flash? Yes, he did. And he's also one of the guys who created the redesign for Captain Atom back in the 80s. Mostly put this just story of Reed and Ben Grimm come back from a dimension. It's just like a regular Fantastic Four story, just done in a big cosmic special. That's the best way to describe this one shot. It's a good one shot. But that's all it is. Just a very good one shot. Just basically like a little fun little thing that Marvel decided to release alongside this run. Now, my final thoughts on Mark Millar's run for Fantastic Four. It's a very interesting run per se. Aside from the fact that, well, we have the introduction to the Old Man Logan, it's not for some people very memorable. Despite the fact, yes, it has been nostalgia from if people like the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby stuff. You would love this book. It's really good. It feels like basically classic Fantastic Four, just done by Mark Millar and Bryan Hitch. The only things in particular that I thought was kind of dumb about this run was the fact that we had the introduction to a bunch of characters who got their own spin-off book. We'll discuss that soon. Fantastic Four, it's originally called New Defenders. This whole New World stuff, that was a really interesting concept, and nothing was done with it. No, seriously. And the whole thing with Doc Doom's master, the Marquis of Death, the thing with him is, like, as soon as he died, he was never out of again, never resurrected. Doc Doom doesn't talk about him anymore. It's almost like Marvel writers were just basically like, okay, this is something that Mark Millar created during the end of his run, so let's just forget about him. Yes. Now, I do have a theory of why he left. My guess is Marvel had to let him go from the book because of his lateness. Because there were a few issues that were delayed for that sometimes took like a couple months basically for them to come out. Because if you like any run before and after this book generally did come out on time. That was one thing that was always really good about this book. It was that every issue was released on time. There were no delays. But I think now there's also, I think that's the reason why he left. Because I think Marvel let him go because they probably trust Jonathan Hickman a lot better because Jonathan Hickman really wanted to do Fantastic Four. That or the fact Mark Millar probably got tired of all the editorial mandates. And probably also, and this is my personal theory, I think that Marvel were tired of all the complaints. I think he was getting tired of all the complaints about the lateness of the book. That's possible. Now, the weird thing is, nothing has been retconned from this run. Not particularly, no. It wasn't as bad as what it was with Grant Morrison, with the whole thing with Magneto, the way he acted during the Planet X storyline. It wasn't that particularly that bad. But it's not a run that's very memorable for a lot of people. It's very much a forgettable run. It's a run people don't really discuss very much at all. It lasted roughly like 16 issues. Lasted for just a little over a year. And then I got handed out to Jonathan Hickman, who had a very good run with the book. I love Hickman's run with the book. It was fantastic. It brought back the sci-fi aspect for the book. In the case of Mark Millar's run, it brought back the stuff that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby were known for doing. And you definitely felt like you read a Fantastic Four book when you read Mark Millar's run, despite how short it was. And during the last couple issues of the run, he had a co-writer on the book. Now, the weird thing is, when this book came out, I think this came out just after he wrapped up Ultimates 2, that he decided to do this book. And he did do books after this one. Oh, don't worry about that. He did books after this one. It was John Arthur, who actually worked on the miniseries I'll talk about soon. He, of course, aside from this miniseries and a couple issues of Fantastic Four and an annual, that's really it. That's all he did. Which I think the annual has been collected. I believe it has. Not really sure. It came out during Hickman's run for the book. Mark Millar, well, he would, of course, still stay with Marvel even after he wrapped up his run for Fantastic Four. Now, I'm sure he probably wanted to do this book. Of course, he also worked on books like 1985, worked on some Wolverine stuff. But after he did this book, like as soon as this book wrapped up, he did Ultimate Avengers. It's almost like he just couldn't wait. And of course, he did Kick-Ass. And the last book he ever did for Marvel. Because as far as I know, he doesn't work for Marvel anymore. Last book he worked on was Empress. when the first issue came out for this, pretty much like 4 years ago. Yep. Yeah, just a quick mini-series. It was Stuart Immonen. Stuart Immonen himself still works for Marvel occasionally. Mark Millar has anything with Marvel in the last 5 years. Yeah. But is it better than what he did for Ultimates? Well, it's good. And my guess is he probably did want to write Fantastic Four. And my theory is he probably wanted to do it as soon as he finished up Civil War 1. But my guess is the reason Marvel delayed, well, he decided to hold off, put him on the book just yet. My guess is because of the reception that Civil War 1 got. Like, whatever about the reception for Civil War 1, in which he wrote that book, this book was hated. Oh my gosh. The artwork was still basically respected by a lot of people, but people hated the story. People hated the whole thing of hero versus hero. And a lot of people say, fight villains, not each other. And the whole thing with the Superman Restoration Act, by the way, the whole thing with Superman Restoration Act is never brought up in this book at all. Nope, never is. Yeah. Alright, moving on to a different book. By the way, I'm going to give Fantastic Four issues by Mark Millar and Bryan Hitch a 9 out of 10. Next up, we're talking about is Fantastic Force, which is the group they used during Mark Millar's run. Now, you probably noticed on the cover, 1 of 5. Excuse me. This book only had 4 issues. Now, here's the thing. Not the first book we call Fantastic Force. There was a book published back in the 1990s. It lasted 18 issues. This book is completely unrelated to it because this is just a spin-off book of Mark Millar's run that just half-featured the New Defenders, which they renamed the Fantastic Force, probably in order to avoid confusion with the actual Defenders. Yes. Mostly part of this book is done by John Otherin, with art by Steve Karth. Yes. So, pretty much you have the characters from Mark Millar's run of Fantastic Four in this book. So pretty much they try to, it's just an adventure for them throughout these few issues, and one of them gets pregnant by the end of the miniseries, and that's it. It's that's especially to sum up exactly what happens in this miniseries. In the terrible miniseries, no, it's a pretty forgettable miniseries. It's a miniseries that no one talks about. And here's the weird thing, though. Aside from Oma and Logan, the rest of this group never appeared in Marvel Comics ever again. Also, here's a fun fact for you. Thing's fiance Debbie. As soon as Mark Millar wrapped up his run, never mentioned ever again. No merit. Like, there's nothing about it at all. Because as soon as Dan Slott came on the book about 3 years ago, first thing he started to do, have Thing and Leash Masters finally marry. Which should have happened decades ago. Yep. But by issue 2, it's basically like 2 of 4. My guess is probably it was originally planned to be 5 issues for Fantastic Force. But they probably trimmed it down probably due to, and this is my personal theory, I think because the first issue didn't sell too well. So they decided to just trim it down to 1 issue. That or was a last minute change. That's my personal guess. This webcomic has really good artwork. Let me show some artwork here. It has really good artwork by Steve Karth. Yeah, the artwork here is actually pretty good. A side effect is really good artwork. It's not that memorable miniseries. Just basically them doing something basically related to their work. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Fantastic Four do probably for the opening issue, but that's it. It's mostly all of them, the whole miniseries. My guess is probably the reason why people probably didn't talk about this miniseries is because, well, there probably was no interest per se, but it's an okay miniseries. That's my best estimation. That's the best way I can describe it. Aside from the fact that Oma and Logan has humongous backstory explored, there's nothing else memorable about this miniseries. Yep. I'm going to give the miniseries an 8 out of 10. Yep. So yeah, that's a particular review, and that is definitely video today. Is my videos coming tomorrow? Possibly, yes. I might have a comic corner on it tomorrow. That's possible. Okay? the video. Bye.